Captain on the bridge.
Alright, Captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, we will be going over episode 6 of Star Trek Picard Season 3. Before we do that, though, Captains, do me a favor, hit that like button. Also, subscribe here to YouTube Bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love and passion for things Star Trek. Now, with that said, here we go. Captains, I can't believe it. We're already past the halfway point of the season, and I'm almost just sort of, I don't want to say disappointed, but it just feels like it's too soon. Things are just happening at such a fast pace, but it's not a fast pace because the story, I still feel at this point, is moving along quite nicely. The pacing is still nice, but regardless, so what we'll do is like what we've done previously, go over the slides, always drop our 2 ECs, and then at the end give our conclusion. So here we go. So we start off with this. It's a nice looking beacon here from the USS Titan. And then what do we get here right off the bat? Boom, the ship that we saw from the last episode, which was the USS Intrepid. And it looks like we have this ship, but not only this ship looking for the Titan, but we had 3. We finally, I kept sort of, I would say complaining about this, but why not show the Excelsior? Well, finally she showed up with the Excelsior. Now, I do believe that third ship is the Echelon class and not the Sagan, because from the top view, because I do have that ship in Star Trek Online, and the bottom nacelles are a little bit more wider, so I think you'd see that from, especially from the top view there. So I think that's just the Echelon class, and again, I think that's confirmed more later. But then we have 3 ships looking for the Titan, because as we left off from the last, the Titan escaped. And so now they're being pursued, which I'm just thinking now that all the ships really have changelings on them, because why would all of them be trying to chase down the same ship? But again, more will be revealed, hopefully. So, and then of course we then have the Shrike tracking down one of the, I guess, decoy beacons, and we get a better close-up shot of the Shrike, which of course is pretty menacing. And we we get a little bit more Vadic in this episode. So Crazy Psycho Lady here, I think she was one of the highlights for me in this episode, because just the range that she has, and I've said this before, and it was quite enjoyable to watch. And now this is from one of her underlings there. They're shedding decoy transponders there because she's really frustrated. They're saying I'm jumping to warp at frequent intervals. And of course, there's just a step ahead of you. They're kind of pissing her off, and she kind of shows it here to the point where she actually just vaporizes that one. Well, she kind of laughs around there, but she does actually vaporize them. But here we actually find out the time frame of how much time they have left to Frontier Day, which is 72 hours away, which, if you kind of think about it, kind of is how the pacing is going, because now we only have 4 episodes left in this season. But yeah, she got kind of pissed off there, and she's kind of ordered one of the other underlings there to destroy or kill him. And we got a good speech here, and it seems like she is just 100% changing. I had thought she was just sort of kind of half changeling, but apparently she's a full changeling from what I'm gathering here. So at least from the speech, Captains, if that's what you got, let me know. Also let me know in the comments below. But then we get into the name of the episode, which is The Bounty, and we'll find out why. But this shot was one of my favorites of the Titan, because in Star Trek Online, I love going up against a planet and just taking selfies. Captains, if you don't know what that is, selfies are actually ship selfies, and this was a great selfie of the Titan. Captains, you already know I love the Titan, and we get some good scenes here of her, but they're just warping in and out there, and this is one of the stop points for them. But we get a scene of Beverly and Picard here talking about Jack's diagnosis, and apparently it's a terminal diagnosis, which it's Irumodic syndrome, which he got from his old man, and it's the same disease that Picard got, and he passed it down to Jack, which kind of is a theme here between him and Jack throughout the episode. But I thought it was pretty, how should I say, fitting, and it's almost kind of lining up with all of the theories that I've had. Well, I need all, at least the one theory about Jack being the one who's going to be bringing together the Link and the other sort of sect of changelings. And I guess by doing so is going to be healing, I guess, the bond. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird theory, but we'll have to see how that plays out. But we have, of course, this moment between Beverly and Picard, which I quite enjoyed. Always, like I said, I had a crush on Beverly when I was growing up, and I think she aged like fine wine. But we have Picard, of course, going to Jack. I thought this scene was pretty cool. Saw Jack kind of taking in, I guess, his diagnosis and sort of blaming his old man there for what he got in terms of his bad genetics. But of course, this is setting up more things down the end. I thought it was a good moment. I didn't feel it was too forced. I just felt that it was just right in terms of their situation, of course. But I did notice he's now wearing a Starfleet jacket with the comm badge, so I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not sure if that means he's embracing Starfleet, but it is what it is. Again, kind of a cool moment between the two. And then we have Worf and Raffi finally meet up in person with the rest. So they get beamed up by the Titan. And I have to say, by far, one of my fave moments in this, because Worf. I mean, come on, it's Worf. And then anytime you hear that little hint of Klingon music, it's just awesome hearing him. And I think at this point, unfortunately, like the other characters, let's say Liam, Raffi gets overshadowed by the legacy characters 100%. Again, I'm trying my best here to like her, but her being paired up with Worf, it's just too hard. Worf is just doing so awesome here. And then kind of a little bit joke here between Worf and Picard about the wine that he keeps sending, or is sending Worf there, saying it's a little tart. And it was quite a wholesome moment. And then of course he gets hugged on his face. His face is so good. Riker says, he's not a hugger, but Beverly doesn't care. And to be honest, that's kind of how I felt. I would have hugged him regardless, because it was a good reunion, and really that's what it is. It's a reunion on screen, and for us, for me at least, it just works. It really, especially his face. I love it. Of course, we have Seven and Raffi kind of going over the things here. And this moment was pretty cool. Worf said, we have to do everything that it takes to protect the Federation and, of course, your kin. So they're really pushing it now, the fact that Jack needs to be protected at all costs. And, of course, you're not going to have a objection from the parents, who are Picard and Beverly. But, again, loved the moments here with Worf. And then you see the Titan there, just, again, so good, yes! Just warping out to its next destination. But they get it all together here in the room here, and they start briefing on what had happened there and what they need to do, which is break into Daystrom Institute. So I thought this was a very cool moment here. And it... Liam... You gotta love him. This was him agreeing with Picard's usage of burglary, I believe was the word. It's just... Again, you have Liam standing up on his own because he's just making it his own. It's just natural. To me, it feels natural, and I just love it. But again, they actually obtain that piece from Kryn from the last episode, where they need to use that to break into Daystrom. And there we go. And now we have the Titan actually warping in there to Daystrom. And this was like kind of behind the moon there, not too far from the station. So I was just kind of wondering why it was so close and they were undetected. But we have, of course, Seven and Raffi here. I thought Seven was going on the mission. Then actually Worf made a comment that when two lovers go into battle or something like that, or to that effect. And Seven's like, no, I'm not going. And Worf again have his Worfisms here, but it's actually Riker who's going to be going. So it's Riker, Worf, and Raffi. Try saying that all together. We'll be going, and again, great moment between Riker and Worf. There's friendly banter back and forth, and he mentions here before they warp out that we're all going to die, because Worf says he's more of a pacifist now. It worked. I found myself just laughing out loud. here and there. But when they get into today's term, they're getting scanned by the AI there, and the alarm does go off. But they do use the device there to calm down the machine there. Yeah, and they're able to get now and this is two more ships warp in here, and they're the Echelon class ships, and this is why I think it was the Echelon class starship that we saw earlier there at the beginning. And they know that they're there, and from that they were alerted that those two ships came, the Titan, and then had to actually leave, and they left the away team there, and Picard ordered them to actually go off to somewhere at the LLaP Prime or something like that. And actually LaForge or Sydney said it was not, don't think it's a good idea, but that was his idea. But they did say that he would be back for them. Unfortunately, like I said, they had to head off there, and like you see there, the two Echelon class starships were actually in pursuit of them and started firing at them. Now, I thought it was interesting that the phaser shots there didn't actually sound like phasers, and that they were just short phaser bursts, kind of what we saw in Strange New World. So again, no torpedoes. Again, they're not going to try to destroy the Titan. They're trying to capture it, obviously, because Jack's there. But interesting, two ships totally miss a Titan. just they couldn't lock on. It's not like she was moving fast, and it's not like she's a smaller ship compared to those ships. So again, just plot armor. We'll just call it plot armor. That's what we're going to call it. But of course, they do get away. They don't get touched. And again, you can see there, these are the Echelon class starships. And again, there's Sagan class starships just without the bottom nacelles. Which again, captains, I do have the Sagan in Star Trek Online. Beautiful ship. Beautiful ship. One of the best ships I have in my fleet on Star Trek Online. But yeah, they were just left there to their own. And okay, if this next sequence here wasn't nostalgia nuggets, I don't know what is, but there are a bunch of nuggets here, starting with this one. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Thaleron sort of device there that we saw on the Scimitar Nemesis. Let me know in the comments below if that's what you thought, captains, but that's kind of what I saw there. And while they're going here, they're just seeing various things here. And of course, the Genesis device. Sorry, it's just, again, when you have, so this is apparently where they're keeping all the top secret things, and the top secret things is everything from the past movies. So yes, I mean, what you gonna do about it, right? And then now, of course, we have this. This was probably the biggest nostalgia nugget. They have James T. Kirk's body here. Now, it wasn't really showing that it was alive or anything. It was just showing that it was his body. So, and then of course they played the music here. It's just, the feels. They know how to do the feels. I will give them that. Of course, next up here, you have a genetically, I didn't actually see the whole thing, but genetically modified Tribble. And of course, Worf is the one who sees it. And he actually gets taken aback. Why? Because it starts doing that. And Riker makes fun of him. Riker makes fun of him. The mighty Klingon taken down by the mighty Tribble. I thought that was pretty cool. I really did. Oh, it's a good moment. It's a good moment. It's a really good moment. And again, just the friendly banter back and forth between them. It just brings back memories. It really does. And now, of course, they are being scanned by the AI there. Of course, they had to show a younger picture of Riker there. And I'm pretty sure that was a director's choice right there. Don't show the old me. Show the younger me. And then a holographic crow just all of a sudden decided to fly by. And, well, the station is now activating security measures, and it starts rumbling. So the whole station is rumbling and making a very distinct sound that Riker knows the notes of. So I'm in the choir and I can't even make out what sounds are. So that's pretty impressive. Also, obviously, Riker he loves his jazz, so I guess that's his shtick there. But this is now where we get to see Moriarty. Now, I was totally off in my whole prediction of what Moriarty was or who Moriarty was. In this what we get in here in this episode, he is just a holographic projection. That's it. So this is from the trailer. We saw this. gets to see them, and of course raising the gun. He actually does fire live rounds, and he misses. He's literally not that far away from them, and he misses. So whether that was to scare them, but again, this was a projected hologram, but we'll find out a little bit more. Now, this is where the Titan ends up. It's actually going to the museum. And boy, did we ever get nostalgia nuggets. This is the Space Museum. Apparently, Picard says this is where all the legendary starships go. And we see a bunch, like, you can see the Stargazer here. You see an Akira. Of course, a Nebula class there. A D7, a Connie, a Tallis, a Saber. Like, and there's one empty ring there, of course. Of course, that gets used later on. But that was pretty awesome. And of course, this is where we get to see the angry Geordi. I got the feels, but I also got scared. He was pissed. He actually was pissed. He actually told them to power down everything. And of course, Picard says, well, we're here because we need your help. And this was a... I don't want to say I had a mixed feeling on him reuniting with them, but Geordi's MO was totally different, and we get to find out that's because he's just finding out he's protecting his family, and I liked it. I really did. It was a different Geordi, obviously, but being with the rest of the crew, I didn't get the warm and fuzzy feelings because he was more worried about his family, which I really did appreciate. Being a father myself, again, I did appreciate where he was coming from, and I actually didn't mind it. See, and again, Picard was just kind of like, well, we're here, we need your help. And of course, they beam over here, and then just look of just pissed. He just looks pissed. But that's actually, so I got corrected. This is LeVar Burton's real life daughter, which is cool. So, but on screen, sisters with obviously LaForge Sydney there, and her name is Alondra. Quite the nice name there. I like it actually. But then he comes on to there, and he's greeted. Look who he's greeted by. So of course, Sydney, Jack, Picard, Seven, and Bev, and he's actually even hesitant to give a hug or just a stern, but eventually they hug, and I thought it was yes. There's the Geordi again, so different because I remember Geordi was obviously he's one of my favorite characters from TNG, but he definitely had a different demeanor, and like I said, I don't mind it. It worked for what they had to convey here, which was him being very protective of not only his family but also his career at Starfleet. So. But then this is where we find out that Geordi and Sydney actually are not on the best of terms. And can I say how beautiful Sydney's hair is here? Sydney, like, it's great. I don't know what it is. It just looked good, and it looked better from the beginning there when we saw her. I just thought this was more natural, and I loved it. So, but again, apparently now there's a thing between Jack and Sydney. Sure, why not? But Geordi doesn't mix words here. He's like, we need to talk now. And it just literally bolts in between the two, Jack and Picard, and just demands to talk to Picard. And yes, there is, of course, a hello from the sisters here. And all we get from Alondra was, I'll do what I can. So whatever that means. But then we have this talk here. And I thought this talk was pretty good between... Again, setting the tone of Geordi's intentions and or demeanor, that did you know what you have done? You have essentially put my daughter's life in danger, and Picard's kind of on the defensive here. And this scene was pretty good, and it shows how far Geordi has, because he's now Commodore, and it was quite the good back and forth between the two. And of course, he just had Alondra just standing there. But she did mention something about something in the hangar bay, and I'm not sure if I don't think we get anything from that from this episode, but we get back here to Daystrom here, and again, you see those two ships there patrolling, and I find it kind of hard to believe, and this is where I kind of dock some points here, hard to believe that these two starships cannot find the three there on the station. That's just me. Why would they have a hard time? I'm not sure, but they're there again with Moriarty firing at them, and they do try to fire at him. Of course, he's a hologram. But apparently there's more whistling here, and this Moriarty isms is just great. Seeing him there was awesome. And again, just finding out what whistle. And of course, he's saying that there's this tune that he can't get out of his head. And what do we get? One of the first scenes where we see Riker meet Data. And because he was trying to whistle, and he whistled the right tune, and that was the tune that signals to, I guess, get rid of Moriarty, because at that point he does say marvelous because he whistled the right tune and he's gone. And then Riker says, this was due to a friend who couldn't, whistle worth a crap. And they are actually granted access to the room that they're getting into. And he says, well, it was my friend Data. I love this scene. It was so good. But then, of course, we get to see Data now. And we get an explanation of why he's like this in terms of his age. But now we're back to the museum here with them. And again, you can just see the ship there. Just so, like, again, the Stargazer there. I think that was a steam runner there, the bottom right. Tallis. You get all these, and it's just geeking out. Of course, the Titan just rests there at the empty ring there. But then you're back here at the meeting room with Picard and Geordi. Again, totally love this. But he actually just says, you know what? I can't help you. I really can't help you. And that kind of hurt a little bit, but you understand where he's coming from, right? And apparently, Landra walks out. But we get this moment. Now, this moment was so good. We see Seven with Jack. He actually says off, but he's like, I'm just trying it out. And then Seven just kind of goes through the ships here. And every single time there was a ship from a show, you heard the music. Oh, my dear Lord Captains, I had to change my uniform. This is apparently where all the legendary ships go. So at this point, the Defiance decommissioned. I guess that's confirmation. I don't know, but there it is. It's in a museum because it's a legendary ship now. And actually, funny enough, in Star Trek Online, the Defiant is a legendary ship. So I thought that was pretty cool there. And we get this shot. Of course, it's not the actual original, but it's the jersey. And we have Jack kind of guessing all the names of the ships there. And I have to say, it looks pretty good. I'm not the hugest TOS fan, but I'm surprised it's this ship that they use. The reason why I say that, and I want to bring a little more attention to this, I thought they would have used the Strange New Worlds one. So I don't know what that means because they're saying that Strange New Worlds is kind of canon, but we all know the design is different. So what does that mean? I don't know. I'm looking into it too much, but regardless, I'm pretty sure TOS fans were losing their ever-loving mind. And this is where we get the revisit. So this is the second ship I've seen in Star Trek, and this is my second favorite ship in Trek. And it's apparently Jack's favorite ship there. So I thought that was pretty cool and neat that this ship gets most of the screen time out of all the legendary ships. Rightfully so. It is a beautiful ship. I'm not going to lie. Having said that, we didn't see the galaxy. I'm a little disappointed. That's some points knocked off on that one. It's a legendary ship. I know it got destroyed, but couldn't you have just made something up there? Like, come on. Like, why not have the galaxy there? Didn't have the Sovereign? What does that mean? You didn't have the Enterprise B. You didn't see the Ambassador. Just saying. But this moment is probably the feels where it started. We get this. Again, the USS Voyager. Jack didn't know what the ship was. And Seven lovingly talks about this is the ship that went the furthest. This was her home. And the music. And you felt that. You really thought, this is gorgeous. Just, man, can you imagine, Captains, if we had the ship in action again nowadays? Whew. I love it. But apparently, she's decommissioned now. None of those bits that she came back from the Delta Squadron's on her. So I guess they stripped her and used that technology, stored that technology. And we still haven't seen that technology used here. But I guess there is reasons for that. but we do definitely get the feels from Seven here as she starts talking about it. And really, I thought this was great. This gave Seven her moment to really talk about it, and in a way to reconnect us back to, or at least me, back to Voyager, and that was her family, and apparently, she's still searching for her new one, which kind of Jack did his Picard thing, where he would give that little speech, and Seven called him out on that, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And she gives that little cute smile. That she lit. She just ages like fine wine, doesn't she, Captains? But now, then of course we get this shot of one of the quote unquote legendary ships, which is the HMS Bounty. Talking about a cloaking device. Well, we kind of, as soon as I saw this, I knew where this was going, and yes, that's where it went. That is what happened. So here back at the Daystrom, now this was where we find out what Data is. Apparently, that body of his is, and again, they get the recording from Soong there, Dr. Soong, that the body there is like essentially like a synth body, but it holds the personalities of all four, which was supposed to meant be for Dr. Soong, but he put all the personalities there in this body, being Soong, Data, Lord, and Before. So, yeah, that's what it is, and hence why it's aging just like Picard's body. So essentially the same thing, because he does say, "What I gave Picard, this is what he gave them," I guess. So quite interesting. Then we get a nice little shot outside. Of course, I believe what that ship is there at the far is the NX refit. I think. Captains, let me know. And also, there's a D7 there. We get this nice little fly around. And again, like I said, there's Bob there. A shot of the fitting how it's behind the Connie there. But this is the ship that got most of the screen time there. And there's a little Saber at the bottom. How that became a legendary ship and not the Ambassador, unless we can't see the other, but I don't know. Of course, Titan just kind of hanging out there. This is a legendary ship already in my eyes. I love the look of the ship. I think it is a great ship. I cannot wait. I've said this already. Cannot wait to get in Star Trek Online. But again, this is where he starts talking and about the cloaking device. There with that speech there was actually when Picard and Geordi were talking about what they're passing on to their kids. Again, I love her hair, just looking so good. Great moment between the two, of course, and then finishing off the moment there on Daystrom with Soong's message there. Of course, you can tell Data's just, or Brent Spiner's just having fun with acting with all the multiple characters there. But of course, now they've mentioned all that info is actually inside of Data, that he actually is the one that knows what they stole, what the Changeling stole from Daystrom. So we're going to find that out there soon. And again, the decision is made there that Geordi, unfortunately, is not going to help. But the deal is that Sydney's going to have to stay with him. And when Sydney goes there, the room, well, they start getting in each other's face, and which I thought was really cool. Sydney standing up, the fact that she did what she wanted to do, and the disagreement between the two was she didn't become an engineer, she became a pilot, and she's kind of disappointed in him. Of course, why don't you help us? Of course, he's like, well, we're family. Well, no, my crew is my family. And Geordi did so good here, I have to say. Just him conveying the fatherly figure. Again, I could totally relate. Again, I'm a father myself, so you can't help, even though, yes, they have the bonds of before the old TNG crew. He's got a new family now, and he's got 2 daughters to boot. 2 daughters. I at least have 1. He's got 2. So, yeah, it was kind of a teary moment, but she decided to stay. But now this little smile here was because Jack was saying that she got him out of a situation beautifully, and there's a little flirting here, I guess, that's going to be happening, and rightfully so. She's beautiful. I think she's quite gorgeous. Her sister-in-law's like, okay, reset your phasers. I'm like, oh wow, okay, all right, that's how it is. And of course, he is suggesting a little larceny of taking the cloaking device. So back at the station. So now they're finally, right? They sent over a security team there to get them. And we're back at the Titan. And now this is where it gets a little awesome, because Liam has his little moment. He didn't get a lot of screen time this episode, but Liam's like, Mr. Geordi, sir, as an engineer to another. And you just saw Liam geeking out here. And I thought it was pretty awesome. And even just this moment between Picard and Seven looking at each other, you knew it was a geek out moment, because you can hear in Liam's the way he acted that he was just in awe of Geordi. Of course, him being the legendary engineer he was, and Geordi's like, he talked about the Titan being held by duct tape, but if it was any other time he would love to geek out. But of course, again, awesome moment between the two. I get it, I love it. Almost makes me want to work on my engineer in Star Trek Online. But it was a wholesome moment. I thought it was like I was nerding out with him. I'm already nerding out through the whole episode. I'm already nerding out with him here, and it's just great. It's just great. And then of course we all knew this was happening. So now the ship actually starts to cloak. Geordi is pissed. Geordi gets so mad, but then the Titan is actually cloaking in and out. He thought, like, look at him. Look how pissed he is at Picard. He thought Picard did this, and I was like, no. And they actually both realized, well, it was Jack and Sydney, and there they are trying to install the cloaking device, and it kind of sparks there, and they're kind of going in and out of cloak. Thought that was a cool shot. Again, see, Connie is the one that gets most of the shot here, rightfully so, again, like I said. But we see her there, and again, just an awesome look here. And this is where we actually get Geordi to stay now and help them out, because it's too late. It's too late. And this moment he says, can you stay away from my daughter? I thought it was pretty cool. He does actually tell Lander to tell Mom, we're not going to be home tonight. So they are now with the Titan crew, which is awesome, really, at the end. Now here, Will is actually going to give him a chance, because he's going to stay here and give them a chance to get out, because when the Titan... Here's weird. The Titan actually arrives and then cloaks and is not noticed by the two ships there. Like, I don't get that. Again, some points minus there for just not getting it, but plot armor, I get it. But Will decides to buy them some time, actually, so that they can get out. And then we get this awesome sequence. So the Titan uncloaks, swoops in. We see this in the trailer. This is the scene that we see in the trailer. Funny enough, you had the actual Echelon class right there, point blank range, and it didn't fire. Again, plot armor, I get it, but they beam them out. We get that sequence of, again, the Titan. Now, in Will defending them, he does actually get tagged there, which we, again, saw coming, but we get this sequence. Again, we saw this in the trailer. Pretty cool. Still, you didn't have that Echelon class fire. That whole time it swooped in. That's a long swoop in, and it didn't fire. But sure, they got a shot off there earlier when the Titan was leaving, and their point blank they missed. Here, sure, yeah, just good shots. But this is where we get the reunion with, of course, Worf, Geordi. Quite the wholesome moment between the two, of course, and the way Geordi looked at Data. I'm gonna just call him Data. Just look at him, just the wholesome face. This is where you kind of get the old Geordi. This is where I got the sense of old Geordi, because one of my favorite moments or favorite things in TNG was the moments between Geordi and Data, and you could just see the happiness. I think Geordi was the strongest one in this episode, definitely in the range of his acting here, from stern, mad, happy. You know, you get it all here, and yeah, Geordi really was the most shining one here, and rightfully so, I think. To get the Titan swooping away, and Worf. So I think Worf is gonna go rescue Riker at this point, I guess. That's why he's shaking his hand. He's like, I love this line here. Nothing's gonna stop me. I will save Riker. That was awesome. I love that moment. Then you have Jack kind of coming in here, and kind of a nice wholesome moment between the two, saying, at least to him, that, you know what, I guess you didn't only give me the bad bits, but you only also gave me the good bits. So it talked about the characteristics that he got both from Beverly and Picard, and I thought was really cool moment between the two. Just kind of a wholesome moment. And then we get this where Sydney is with LaForgia trying to work on Data, and you see them patch things up here like right quick. And the stories of Sydney saying, why do you think I broke all those things so that I can spend time with you? And Geordi does say, I was proud of you growing up. So again, everything's patched up. They're on the run now together. So sure, everything's fine. So I thought that was, again, Geordi's range here in this whole episode. For me, he was the shining moment here. And another happy moment there from there. But now we see Picard come in there, and he's like, I saw him die twice. And yep, apparently, and you get this moment here. Look, lens flare. You get some lens flare there. But they're going to ask him, and so Geordi actually does turn him on, quote unquote, and he is on, and it's Data. It actually is Data. And the moment he looks at Geordi, you see Geordi, again, just the look between those two, good old friends. Of course, it says Captain, and he is actually asking, okay, we need to know what they took. And this is where Data kept saying Picard, but we also got a little twitchy here, sort of malfunction in him, where Lore came out, before it came out, Sung came out, and then all of a sudden, what did they steal? And then he all of a sudden projects this out of his eyes, and he's showing them what they stole. And again, he keeps saying Picard. Why? Well, because what they stole was Picard's body. The changelings, this is what we find out, the changelings stole the portal tech to distract us, or distract them, because what they really wanted was Picard's body. What does that mean? And they're after Jack. It's still not, going 2 + 2 for me here. I don't know what they would want with Picard's body. It's done. It's dead. Jack, I get it. He's alive. Something. What does that mean? I don't know. So that's what the changeling stole, was Picard's body. Again, it's not making sense to me. And of course, we have this this scene was so good. This was so good. So unfortunately, Will does get captured here, and he's being questioned by this and beaten by this, I'll say, changeling. And all of a sudden, he just decides to take out the 2 guards with him. And the reason being, well, it's Vadic, and this is where we get, oh my god, Crazy Psycho Lady says hi and laughs. Like, you have to see this part. And of course, Steve Captains, you've already watched it. Obviously, you're just trying to get my thoughts on the. But this was such a cool moment, even though it was still scary. And even Will's face is like, you are crazy, lady. You are a very crazy lady. But the Shrike actually was there, so we didn't see it throughout the whole sequence there, but it was there. So the Titan was able to. So the security team came in, right? The Titan beamed them out while Riker was fighting them. And we saw the one that tagged him was the one who turned into Vadic. So why didn't the Shrike take on the Titan when it's trying to leave? Again, that's where it got some points taken out for me, personally. But again, plot armor, I get it. I don't know. Well, something I noticed. Maybe I'm putting too much into it, but let me know, Caps. But of course, he gets smacked. He's like, how much? He tells that big guy, how much that goo did they put in you? And he gets smacked and starts laughing. He does actually say to Vadic, well, you think after 30-something years I'm going to turn my friends? And she's like, oh, no. Well, this is where we end off. They're going to bribe Riker to tell him where they're going, and it's Deanna. Now, this is the last scene here, and of course she says, oh, Will. Now she's behind a force field. Now, at the beginning there, she did say, I want a list of all of Picard's loved ones, friends who he could turn to. And I guess this is a way to bring them all together. Now, this is the first time we actually see Deanna in person. My theory is it's not actually Deanna, it's a changeling. I don't know. We're going to obviously find out in the next episode or episodes. I feel that they're just going to use this to bait Will into telling them where they're going. But regardless, you would think you kind of know where they're going. Everything's leading up to Frontier Day, right? So I didn't hear them talk about Data. Mind you, again, what does that have to do with Jack? The whole plot, why Picard's body was the main target. I don't know. So again, the story moves along. The pacing is great. I think this episode had a really lot of good things going for it, in my opinion. Now we actually have the whole crew together. We actually have everyone in this image together now. Picard, Beverly, Jack, Worf, Data Lore Sung before Deanna Riker, Seven, and Rappy. So now we have 4 episodes left in this season. So what do I think of this episode? Well, like I said throughout the whole review there, I had my issues with it in terms of plot armor. So some points were taken off, but definitely Geordi really shone through. And of course, just the nostalgia nuggets they sprinkled throughout Daystrom. Of course, the reunion actually between the crew here was very wholesome, other than the fact of course, Deanna's and Riker's, and that's yet to be seen if that's actually Deanna. My prediction is not, but I'd have to give this still a 9 because Geordi's performance here, one, surprised me, but also it still carried me through, and it still had that wicked, wholesome interaction with Liam there, which I thought was pretty awesome. So I'm going to give this one a 9. So it's the lowest one so far that I've given the episodes up to this point. Still an awesome episode. I was on the edge of my seat still. A lot of things made me go, huh? And that hence the score. But captains, tell me what you think in the description below, what you thought of this episode. Now, I'm pretty sad that we're getting to the end here, but it is what it is. We're going to have to sort of see where the story goes. We have 4 episodes left, like I said. Hopefully, I'm right that that's just a changeling and that Deanna still is someone they actually get, and Riker just told her to hide or something. Hopefully. So, like the video again. Comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know your theories as well on what you are thinking, captains, of this episode, and just really what you're thinking so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I don't want it to end, but we're coming to the end here. But we still got 4 episodes to enjoy together, captains. Do us a favor as well. Subscribe to the YouTube Bridge. And of course, we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.